two people on the same street buy the exact same electric car in the same week for the same money. 5 years later, one of them quietly made the smartest transport decision of the decade. The other lost the price of a small holiday every single year they owned it and never once noticed on a fuel receipt. Same badge, same battery, opposite endings. And what split them was not the sticker price they argued over in the showroom. It was a different number, sitting just underneath it, that almost nobody checks before they sign. Meet Anna and meet Ben. This is Spend It Once. You are about to spend serious money, so let's make sure you understand exactly what you are buying. So, is an electric car cheaper? That question has no single answer, and anyone who gives you one is selling something, usually a car. The honest question is narrower. What will this specific car cost me, in total, over the years I actually own it? The industry calls that total cost of ownership, and it is a short sum with 5 inputs. How much value the car quietly loses while it sits on your drive. How many miles you genuinely drive in a year. Where you plug in, at home or in public. The extra costs the sticker hides. And whether you buy it new or let someone else take the first hit. Get those 5 right, and the answer is obvious. Get one wrong, and you can pay thousands to feel modern. So let's collect them, one at a time, with Anna and Ben. Number 1, and it dwarfs all the others: depreciation. The value the car bleeds just by existing. This is the largest cost of owning almost any car, and it is the one buyers stare straight past. Here is the trap. Depreciation is quoted as a percentage, and by percentage, electric cars have almost caught up with petrol, both losing something like 40% in 3 years. But you do not spend percentages, you spend money. Lose 40% of a 50,000 car, and you have lost 20,000. Lose the same 40% of a 30,000 car, and you lost 12. Same rate, but the shinier, pricier badge quietly bleeds 8,000 more in cash out of your account. And electric cars carry one extra twist that petrol does not. An EV ages less like a car and more like a phone. The day a faster charging standard arrives, or the day charging speeds double, last year's model becomes harder to sell, and its value drops for reasons that have nothing to do with how it drives. So before you fall in love with a sticker, look up one number. What this exact car is predicted to be worth in 5 years. That gap is the real price. Number 2 is the lever that decides whether the whole thing ever pays off: how far you actually drive. An electric car usually costs more to buy and earns that back slowly in cheaper miles. So the maths only works if you do enough of them. In Britain, a typical electric hatchback saves roughly 7 pence a mile against its petrol twin. Sounds small, but at 12,000 miles a year, it claws back its price premium in around 10 years, comfortably inside a long ownership. Drive it hard, 20,000 a year, and the gap closes faster. But here is the quiet failure nobody warns you about. Drive under 5,000 miles a year, the way a lot of second cars and city runabouts do, and you may never break even. Not slowly, never. You paid extra for cheaper fuel you barely use, and depreciation eats the difference while the car sits still. Low mileage does not make an electric car a saving, it makes it a statement. Number 3 quietly decides your running costs, and it is brutally simple. Can you plug in at home or not? Charge on your own driveway overnight, and electricity is cheap. Around 19 cents a unit in the United States, 25 pence in Britain, and yes, pricier in Germany, but still a fraction of petrol per mile. That is the dream everyone pictures. Now the reality for millions of people who park on the street, public rapid charging costs 2 to 4 times as much. In the States it can hit 70 cents a unit, which per mile can actually cost more than a good hybrid sipping petrol. Read that again. If you cannot charge at home, the single biggest reason electric cars are cheaper to run mostly evaporates. Ben has a driveway, so his fuel bill is a rounding error. Anna parks on the street and lives at public chargers, so hers is barely better than the petrol car she replaced. Same car, the plug decided it. Now the costs the sales room leaves off the sticker, because you already know the headline that electric cars need less servicing. That part is true. Fewer moving parts, maybe 30 to 40% lower maintenance. But less is not zero, and here is what fills the gap. Tyres. An electric car is heavier and delivers its shove instantly, so it chews through tyres 20 to 50% faster. You save a little skipping oil changes and hand it straight back at the tyre shop sooner than you think. Insurance. Because these cars are heavier, pricier to fix, and written off more easily after a knock, premiums usually run higher, not lower. And if you want that cheap home charging, someone has to install the charger, roughly £900 to £1,500 in Britain, and a wildly variable few hundred to a few $1,000s in the States if your fuse box needs an upgrade. One more, whispered while the salesman is out of the room. Some brands quietly require a paid annual battery inspection to keep the warranty valid. A very expensive way to check a battery that was almost certainly fine. So here is the move that flips this entire video, and it is the opposite of what the showroom wants you to do. Let someone else buy it new. Remember that brutal depreciation cliff, where an electric car sheds 40 to 50% in the first few years. When you buy new, that loss is yours. When you buy the same car 2 or 3 years old, that loss already happened to the first owner, and you walk in at the bottom of the slide. In Britain right now, a 2-year-old electric BMW costs around 22%, nearly £9,000, less than the same age petrol version. £9,000 for taking delivery slightly late. And the fear that stops people, the battery, is mostly a myth. Real-world data across tens of thousands of cars shows about 2% of range lost per year, most keeping over 90% of their health past 60,000 miles, and only around 2.5% of packs ever needing replacement. The thing that tanks an electric car's resale is not a dying battery. It is looking old next to newer tech, which is a problem if you are selling, and a gift if you are buying. So, should you buy one? 3 tests, and you can run all 3 before you set foot in a showroom. Test 1, the miles test. Honestly, how far do you drive in a year? Over 10,000, the cheaper miles do real work, and an electric car can genuinely save you money. Under 5,000, be honest with yourself. You are buying it because you want it, not because it pays. That is allowed, just call it what it is. Test 2, the plug test. Can you charge where you sleep? A yes makes the running costs genuinely low. A no means you will live on public chargers, so run the numbers against a hybrid before you commit, because you might lose. Test 3, the depreciation test. Look up this exact car's predicted value in 3 to 5 years, not the sticker, the leftover. Then decide, buy new and eat the first big drop, or buy 2 to 3 years used and let someone else eat it. If you are keeping it a decade and driving it hard, new can be fine. If not, used is almost always the smarter money. Anna drives little, parks on the street, and swaps cars every 3 years, so for her, an electric car is a lovely, expensive want. Ben commutes far, charges at home, and buys used and keeps it, so for him, it is the cheapest car he will ever run. Same car. Run your own 3 tests, and you will know which one you are. The shape of the money, our 2 drivers. Ben buys a 2-year-old electric car, so the worst of the depreciation is already someone else's problem. He charges at home for pennies and drives 15,000 miles a year, and he keeps it until the wheels nearly fall off. Over his ownership, it comfortably beats the petrol car he would have bought instead. Anna buys the same model new, watches it shed value in her first years, pays public charging prices on her short trips, and trades it in after 3. She lost money against a plain petrol car on the exact same vehicle, not because one of them is smarter, because one of them matched the car to their life and the other matched it to a mood. You now know the 5 numbers that place you on that line. So here is the whole game. The sticker was never the question. The car is fine, the technology is good, and for the right driver, it is genuinely the cheapest way to get around. The question is the number underneath, what it is worth when you are done, how far you drive, and where you plug in. Check the retained value, count your real miles, find your home charge, and consider buying it used. Do that, and an electric car stops being a leap of faith or a badge of virtue, and becomes what it always should have been, a decision with an answer. If a purchase you are about to make deserves this kind of breakdown, subscribe. Next time, we shrink the budget right down to the humble tumble dryer. The quiet box in the corner most people buy on price in 10 minutes that then spends a decade drinking more electricity than almost anything else in the house. One number decides whether it sips or it guzzles, and most buyers never look. Until then, spend it once and spend it right.